Hello community, Freelancer is upon us, and to say it's grindy and difficult would be the understatement of the month. With mercies being difficult to gain and easy to lose, choosing what to do with them is very important, which is why I made it a mission of mine to find what in my opinion are the top 10 best Freelancer unlocks, based on both challenges, classes, efficiency and price. At the number 10 spot we have shotguns. Now what would a Hitman game be without shotguns? Like New York without the Twin Towers, it just wouldn't look right.
Yes! Yes!
Now there are two shotguns in particular that I have in mind, the NRAM HV Covert and the ICA Tactical White. Both epic unlocks, there are actually pretty different shotguns in terms of gameplay. The NRAM has 30 bullets, the ICA White has only 27, 3 less than the NRAM. But on top of that, the NRAM has a much faster superior fire rate and a tighter aim, so it's a little bit more accurate. At times, I felt that the ICA White was a little underpowered because I wasn't able to get one-shot kills that I thought I should have. But as I said, it does tend to be a little bit more loose on the aim, so you have to control it a little bit better. Overall, both of these shotguns are great and will get the job done. The NRAM has superior gameplay, but the ICA Tactical White takes up only one gear slot, while the NRAM takes 2, so that's something to consider as well. Now, obviously them being silent makes them far more useful than the legendary Bartoli. You may not need to keep Silent Assassin every time, but it's much better to take care of business quietly and get out, instead of having the whole map rushing you at gunpoint. When it comes to Freelancer, minimizing risk is very important, and dying is simply not an option, so silent weapons will always be the better, cleaner alternative. Choose the NRAM if you have the extra space for it, and choose the ICA White when you don't. At the number 9 spot we have assault rifles. Now, as children, we all had dreams of what we wanted to be when we grew up. If your childhood looks like this,
I would like to be a terrorist.
Then look no further than the TAC-4 AR Desert and the RS-15. Both of these rifles handle more or less the same when controlled. They have the same number of bullets, 90 in total. When control shooting, the RS-15 seems to have a bit of a tighter line, but just a little bit, so it may be a little more accurate, but when you release control you can tell the recoil of the TAC-4 is much greater. Funny enough, when I went around for the shooting test, I felt both were perfectly accurate. I really didn't feel any difference between them, even when I was swapping back and forth constantly, they felt about the same in terms of handling. They both will take 2 points in your inventory, so no difference there. However, they do sound very different from one another. It's up to you to choose which one you like more in terms of looks and sound. The RS-15 may be slightly better, but not enough to really make a difference, and of course because both of them are epic unlocks, they will do you great for completing the assault rifle challenges. Number 8, SMGs, and in particular the DAC X2 Covert Special. Special is the word you're looking for, since the regular DAC is also there, but is nowhere near as good. Now, I've already spoken plenty about this weapon through these types of videos. Now, some people may say, well, why the DAC and not the Raptor Covert? Well, the Raptor Covert is a very good SMG. It has a total of 165 bullets. That's 65 more than the DAC's 100. However, at the same time, it cannot be hidden on you, which is a big chore when taking it on missions, as both suit only and any disguise that isn't a guard will cause you the need to hide it. When it comes to the accuracy of SMGs, they've never been that great to begin with, so I can't say that there's some gigantic difference. And again, just because Silent Assassin is not an option does not mean that you're completely off the leash and can do whatever you want. If you get killed trying to play John Wick, you're gonna get burned, big time, losing a ton of mercies, unlocks and etc. And if you're looking for an aggressive weapon, you should be looking towards the assault rifles, not the SMGs. They are far more accurate and much more hard-hitting from a distance, which is why, in my opinion, the DAC is the better option over the Raptor for every situation that requires an SMG. Just make sure to practice with it a bit so you don't end up like this. Number 7, Lethal Syringe. Anytime you have a Silent Assassin objective, this is an absolute must-have. I remember one run I did in Miami where there were 3 couriers, 1 safe and 4 targets, and I had a Silent Assassin objective. And slow and steady, one by one, 14 minutes later, I had done everything and just had 1 target remaining. He was a jogger, so as soon as he isolated himself, I immediately fiberwired his ass. But then I had a real big problem. Nowhere to hide the body. I looked all around me, but I was in an open area. NPCs were coming and I was looking around like, oh shit. And just like that, 14 minutes of excellence got completely wrecked. Ever since, I've had a lethal syringe on me every time I've had to do a silent assassin, and it has been so extremely helpful. I mean, think about it, in Freelancer, you never know who or where your targets are. If you have a silent assassin objective, that means bodies cannot be found, which in certain maps can be a huge pain in the ass. But with a lethal syringe, all you need to do is a single touch, and your target is already dead. Now what does that remind me of?
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
And the best part is, if you are able to somewhat fill out your Freelancer tools, you will get another lethal syringe in the rewards chest as soon as you're done using it in a mission. It is an extremely useful tool that needs to be on the list. Number 6, we have the sniper rifle. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are not surprised to see the Seeger 300 Ghost.
Psych!
But actually, the best sniper rifle in Freelancer is the Hackle Leviathan Covert. Now, the Ghost has 4 more rounds, a higher rate of fire, a longer slowdown time, and better recoil. So how could the Leviathan possibly be better? Well, it's entirely because of the challenges. The one thing the Leviathan has that the Ghost does not is penetrating rounds. Now, in regular Hitman, penetrating rounds are a disadvantage, but here you have one challenge which requires you to shoot your target and an NPC down with a single shot. The Ghost can't do that, the Leviathan can. And also you have another challenge about sniping guards. Well, the Ghost may be slightly faster, but the Leviathan can shoot 2 for the price of 1. If you don't want to worry about possible combat, you can just line them up and get them both down quickly and quietly. The Ghost is more of a risk as you'll have to take down the second guard before he's able to get a shot off. When it comes to trying to keep things stealthy, the Leviathan has the opportunity to take care of business in a more efficient manner, which is why, at least in my opinion, when it comes to the Freelancer objective, it does get the nudge over the Ghost. Now, that doesn't make the Ghost bad by any means, it just means that in Freelancer, the Leviathan has a bit of an edge on it when it comes to some of the sniper challenges. At the number 5 spot we have the Seeker, which has the same effect as watching an Amy Schumer comedy special.
But I want to put my penis right in your butthole.
It makes you wanna vomit. Now, a lot of people may have expected this particular weapon to be way down the list, maybe even at number 1, but when it comes to Freelancer, the Seeker is useful, but not always necessary. The Seeker's big strong suit, its main selling point if you will, was to deal with shitty targets. The Hitman 1 elusive targets are a prime example. However, in Freelancer, targets are mostly very well made, to the point where they'll either isolate themselves or place themselves in a location where a single destruction will isolate them. Of course, there are exceptions, but for the most part, they are well-made, developed targets. And with Silent Assassin no longer being a requirement all the time, you can get away with just shooting people in the face in front of a crowd, and as long as no one spots you, you should be able to get away with it. The Seeker has transformed from a must-have weapon into a second parachute, if you will, a weapon you use in time of need. I mean, I always try to take it with me just in case, but a lot of times it's simply unnecessary, and that's a good thing because that means you don't have to cheese every target. You can actually put your skills to the test and try to find their weakness because more often than not, there is at least one. At the number 4 spot, we have the Seeker's older brother, the Tranquilizer. Such a useful item and for so many purposes. Anytime you need a disguise, want to take down a courier or get rid of an annoying assassin or a lookout, this will take care of that very quickly. Honestly, I find myself using it more than I do the Seeker, but they are both great in their own way. Of course, there is no shortages of challenges about poisoning guards and targets, and these weapons take care of that beautifully. Now, if you're asking which is better between the collector versions and the cheaper Freelancer 2 versions, the answer is very simple. I like my weapons like I like my women, so the cheaper alternatives would always be the better option. That way, even if you were to lose them, you'd still have the expensive collector versions and be able to get the cheap versions again soon enough. At the number 3 spot we have the coin. That's right, coin, not coins, because there is only one, and if you lose it by throwing it in an unreachable place, you have to buy it all over again. I had a moment in Paris where it ended up under a shelf and had to spend over 2 minutes shooting at it, trying to get it out of there, so yeah, fun times for everybody. I'm pretty sure it costs like 5,000 merces, so it's not exactly cheap either. But still, I can't imagine playing Hitman without it. It's such a useful item for both destruction and luring that you kind of need it if you want to have an easier time. No other item can really do what the coin can do. Maybe we've just gotten too used to having it in our inventory, but I really would not replace it with anything else. It's incredible how something so small can be so effective.
That's what she said.
At the number 2 spot we have the lockpick. Again, talk about a must-have item. There's certain maps where you can't get anywhere without it. Miami is a great example. The cheap version will cost you around 3000 mercies, and as long as you don't lose it, you'd never really have to buy it again. It takes only one spot in your inventory, and much like a condom, it's much better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Though it all depends on what doors you're trying to get into. Obviously doors with electrical locks won't be affected by it, so it does depend on the map a little bit, but for the most part it's a definitive must-have unlock. But first we need to go for a quick honorable mention. We have the banana. For some people it's a delicious fruit, for others it's a way to practice and prepare for important quests. The banana is many people's favorite penis-shaped food, but in Hitman it has a different purpose. It's not so much the fruit we're after as the actual peel itself. All you have to do is place it in a convenient location, and with a possible coin lure, you can get yourself an easy accident knockout. A great way to deal with couriers and any annoying NPCs coming after you. And the best part is that you can take it on every single mission. All you have to do is make your way to the kitchen area and you'll find it there waiting for you to grab it and put it to good use. It takes 2 gear slots, but it's such a useful item, it would be a shame not to include it in some form on this list. At the number 1 spot we have the bowler. Short bowler, silver bowler or gold bowler. They're exactly the same outside of looks, so any one of them will get the job done. They only take 1 gear slot and count as legendary weapons, allowing you to fulfill quite a lot of firearms challenges. This should come as no surprise. Anyone who's had to play with no firearms objectives knows how terrible it is to play without using your pistol. It's by far one of the most useful items you can have, at least in my opinion. I know at the beginning of Freelancer, when I had no gear at all, the silenced pistol is by far what I missed the most. Also, it's a 2-shot kill to the chest, so pretty powerful for a silenced gun. And if things go out of control, which in Freelancer they usually do, you'd want it by your side more often than not. For that, I'm putting it at the very top of the list. For my experience with Freelancer, which has been up and down to say the least, these are the weapons that I feel are best to go after. Of course, with suppliers you never know what you'll get, but if you find some of these weapons for sale, you'll know how they compare and what to go after. Make sure to comment, drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content, and more than anything else, thank you very much for watching.